Welcome to the surf industry. We got a special guest. We are here today with Stephen Baird. I said it right, right?
You
Baird.
said it right. You got it, Mike. That's right, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be on here with you today, talking with your listeners and sharing a bit about what we're doing, but just excited to get to meet you and talk about the surf industry.
Likewise. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but Stephen, you are owner of TrackFly, and we are going to dive into what TrackFly does, how it helps retailers, how it helps brands, and how it helps shopping local. But first, I want to start with this question. You got a big history in the outdoor and the fly fishing world. I
Yeah.
see you working with brands like Patagonia, you're working with Grunion, Sage, NRS, Sims. Why the surf industry? Why is your next move the surf industry?
Well, the fact of the matter is, Mike, the early adoption, the early usage in the outdoor industry, specifically with a lot of those brands, some of them on their Sims, Sage, they're in the fly fishing industry. You might be able to tell just by looking at me. I find myself standing on a river quite often. I love fly fishing, so there was a great connection there. But really, what it came down to was, niche industries, these specialty industries. As we've been building TrackFly and growing TrackFly, we have a very strong commitment to seeing these types of specialty industries grow. And so like I had that early launch in fly fishing. It was a great experience. Surf was just one step over. It was right there as well. I spent a lot of time on beaches. I did a lot of time in Hawaii. I've got family members that are very active in the surf industry. And so as we were starting to grow and expand, we were working with our brands. We were working with the likes of Patagonia. And it just kind of came up that the surf industry was a very similar model where you've got all these amazing local retailers, these surf shops, and wanting to help them have tools to grow, wanting to make sure that they're making the right business decisions, that they're buying the right products, and that their suppliers see them, that these brands see the specialty channel, and are able to fuel that growth. So really a lot of what we do, Mike, is passion driven. It's working with the industries that we personally are involved in, that we see as something special, and wanting to see them succeed. And surf was no exception to that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, because when I was thinking about it, I'm like, here's the outdoor industry, and looking at what you guys do, I'm like, man, something like the running industry makes a lot of sense. That being said, there are plenty of independent stores in the running industry, but there's also a lot of chains. Where I
True.
find in the surf industry, it's mainly dominated by independents, where it sounds like that's where you have a passion for independence. And I know that you also work with Mikey Riley over at Free Fly,
Mhm.
who has a long history in surf, and they're making a push into surf. Patagonia is making makes they do surf, so I can see how you've parlayed from fly fishing into surf and
Yep.
passion driven outdoor activities like that. Speaking of fly fishing, I got to get into some of that. My kids, they want to go fishing. I took them fishing. We casted our poles, and my son was like ready to reel it in. And I'm like, no, dude, you just sit and wait now. And they're like, what? I go, see those old timers reading books with the bobbers on their strings? They're waiting. If you want to be an active fisherman, go fly fishing. You'll be moving and shaking doing that.
You'll be moving. You'll be, as you get a little bit older, you'll be throwing your shoulder out faster than anybody else because of how often you're moving that rod around. But yeah, it is fun. It's super active. And I mean, with that being said, Mike, you just let me know. I got all the extra stuff. I love taking people out, especially anybody that's never fly fished before, so they can experience it. And again, like that's the passion in these types of industries like surf as well, right? Like guys like you, guys like me, guys like Mike, with over at Free Fly, it's bringing people into this industry and creating more core users, more core consumers,
Yeah.
getting people bought in to be able to go and find and enjoy these types of activities like we both do. And the answer is go to these local shops,
Yeah.
go to these specialty retailers, because that's where you find this type of enthusiasm, this type of excitement, and the best products too. Like that's where you're going to get the best advice to buy the things that create consumers that are coming back over and over and over again. And you're right, in the running industry, It is interesting. Yeah, it actually is a very strong correlation as well. There's a strong independent. But when you start to get into a lot of these big chains, that's where the casual consumers have been going. We saw a big influx of people coming into surf, into fishing, into outdoors, over the pandemic, over the last few years, and a lot of new customers coming in that were the casual consumers. And they're still going back, but they're going into the chains. We really need to figure out, and this is one of the things that TrackFly is poised to help with. We want to figure out how to grab those casual consumers and bring them back to specialty.
Yeah.
Guys like you, let's go fly fishing. And you better believe when we go fly fishing, we're going to go to my local fly shop and we're
Yeah.
going to step in there and we're going to get geared up and we're going to go out and have a great time. And that's what we need to be fueling.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, you're not going to get fly fishing tips on Amazon.
No,
You're
you're not.
same with surfing. You're not going to get surfing tips. You go and talk to a guy that fly fishes at a specialty retailer. He will give you the best advice. Now let's talk about retail. I looked at your website. I'm going to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of words on there, and it confused me a little bit. So I want to know I said 30 seconds, but let's take it a minute. I want your
Yeah.
1 minute pitch on what the problem is for retailers and how TrackFly fixes that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're a specialty retailer, especially if you are an owner, you wear a lot of hats. You're constantly, managing your staff, you're buying products, or you've got a small team of buyers that are buying products, you're managing stock, you're doing customer service, you're wearing all these different hats. And what TrackFly comes into is we come to make data readily available at your fingertips. So it makes all of those decisions you have to make that much more easier to get to faster. And so most specialty retailers are using one system, a point of sale system, to manage selling products, managing inventory, identifying what they're going to buy. And there's a lot of reports in those point of sale systems. Sometimes it's cumbersome to get to that. But on top of that, it also is reliant that all of your stock is accurate, that your UPCs are correct, that your titles are correct, that your price points are correct. So what TrackFly does for a retailer is connects directly to that point of sale system. And we actually cleanse all of that information. We look for the right UPCs across our product database. We look for the right category and the right industry. So that way you get automated sales reports. You can go to a buying season and say, this is how we performed over the year prior. I can look at all of my brands side by side and see which brands are performing better during a specific cycle. So it makes all of that reporting very, very easy. But then there's another piece of it that is just as important. Because we're a network of specialty retailers, you can actually take all of your store's sales performance and benchmark that, compare that to what your peers are doing anonymously. What is happening in the industry? Is the industry growing? And am I growing alongside with it? If not, there's opportunities for me there to catch. If I am growing alongside with it, great, keep it up. If I'm growing ahead of it, don't stop what you're doing. Keep it going and find those opportunities to drive that. But being able to have that benchmark is important. And then the very last thing that a retailer gets with TrackFly is the ability to take this cleansed, organized data and share that securely with my brands and my sales reps. So we know this, by working in the industry. Sales reps are constantly calling their specialty retailers. What's on your shelf? What sold? Can you send me a sales report? You don't have to do that anymore with TrackFly. You accept a connection, and your sales reps are going to know when you're running low. They're going to know when products aren't selling that fast. And the next call you're going to have with them is not figuring out what to order. It's them working with you based upon what's happening in their warehouse, what's happening with your store, with here is the order we would recommend. This is going to drive the most sales and the most volume for you. And it makes it that much faster to engage with those reps. So those are three core things that a retailer really benefits.
Gotcha, gotcha. Oh, you froze a little bit, but I got everything you said. So I
Awesome.
actually think I might have had the wrong impression. Like I said, there was a lot of words on there. So I flipped through it and a lot of cool moving parts. But I was thinking you guys were more of the way you're connecting the supply chain was almost like, and I'm going to ask this question next, whereas where the retailer could see everything that was in stock at the brands and order through their B2C. But it also sounds like it's maybe a flip side
It's
where
the reverse.
okay, so before I go to my next question, because no joke, I just got off the phone. I work in the industry. I've
Yeah.
always worked in the industry. I work for a couple brands. I work for a brand called Martha, which is, by the way, a B Corp that only sells
Oh,
retail. We don't sell direct to consumer. We don't sell on Amazon. We only sell through retail. And I was talking to one of the reps with something like a hat, which is
yeah.
a low average cost. You got to sell a lot of hats to put that gas in your car. And I'm always like, look, I come old school. I was a road rep back in the days. I'm still a road rep. I'm a glorified road rep. The guy that goes in the store, that counts the inventory, that makes a suggestion, that's the guy that's getting the orders. But you're
Yes.
saying I could basically log on to my retailer A, if they're a TrackFly, and before I even go to the store, I could say, here's what they have sold, here's what they have maybe on demand, here's what I know is trending. And I could literally call him and say, hey, man, because there's nothing worse. Sorry, I'm a little
No,
scattered. There's
you're good.
nothing worse, I would imagine, for a retailer than a rep calling him and saying, hey, dude, need anything?
Yep. Oh
Drives
man.
me up the wall.
Bingo.
As a sales manager, I'm like, do not do that when I talk to new reps. You go in there and you make a suggested before you even talk to the buyer. Tell them what they got, tell them what you
Yep.
need. But you're saying I could log on and call and say, hey, man, it's fine. I just said, hey, man, but that's a backstory that some people will get. Hey, man, I see you're low on 5 panel hats in the Mojave, and it looks like you've been sold out for a while. I suggest, you normally have 4 in stock. I suggest you get 6 because I read
Yes.
the report. You're saying that rep can use you as a tool like that?
100%. That's exactly what it is. And
I mean,
it's updated every single day. And so it's not just updating you a report once a month for that rep. It is what is sitting on the shelf of my retailers. Now, you just said a really important scenario, which is, hey, man, I've got you've got 2 on the shelf. You sold 5 last week. You need to actually carry you need to have an average turn of 6 a week. You need to make sure you're in stock. That's one really good scenario to increase sales. There's another side of this though. If a retailer just purchased 10 hats and they're not selling, you're going to know that as the rep, and you're going to be able to call up and say, hey, I noticed these hats are sitting there, they're not moving. We're seeing in the region that these are moving at an average turn of, 4 or 5 a week. Where are they in your store?
yeah,
How can we work together to make sure you move that product? And the most important thing for that right now, like thinking about this from a retailer, everybody needs to move inventory right now.
yeah,
Consumer spending is lower. People are pretty overstocked on inventory. Collaborate with your reps, collaborate with your brands, give that visibility so that way you can work together to push through this inventory blow. Push through it so that we can make wave for the right products coming in next year, the year after that. And what that means for the brands, if I'm a brand, I now know what consumer demand is right now. I'm not manufacturing based upon 2022 or 2023 numbers. I'm looking what's happening right now. So when I'm manufacturing, I'm going to know if I'm going to over or under or launch a new product because I know what the consumers are doing this year. So it just makes for a much more intelligent industry. And I'm gonna drill this home, Mike. The Going back to the question of why surf, why specialty. If you're a big retailer, if I'm Walmart, Walmart used to be a client of mine a few years ago. If I'm Walmart, I've got teams of hundreds of people analyzing this. I'm spending millions upon millions of dollars to know what I should be buying. A specialty retailer doesn't have that luxury. And so what TrackFly is here to provide is that type of a service, that type of a visibility. Let us be your team of buyers or your team of analysts, that Walmart spends money on. Let TrackFly be that team for you to serve up the information so that as you're making the decisions for your shop, you're going into it informed. You know what the industry is doing, you know what the region's doing, and collaborate with your reps. Bring your reps to it because they want to help you grow as well.
yeah. Well, I mean, my next question was going to be, what's the problem and how do you fix it for brands? But I think you've also answered that as well.
You got
Because
it.
it
You
sounds
got
like
it.
I've been on this side of the thing where I'm like, hey, reps, I need some sales reports. I want to analyze the market. And they got to call up each store. And some
Yeah.
stores have reports, some stores don't. And we get them together and we go over them. But it sounds like the more stores that are part of the TrackFly reporting system, I could go on to TrackFly, I'm assuming log on to TrackFly, and
Yep.
go shop A, here's the report. Shop B, here's the report. Shop C, here's the report. And then I can look at an entire market, well, there's more than 3 shops in a market, but I'm
Sure.
saying, and go,
Yeah.
wow, San Diego County, these 5 stores are all succeeding here, not succeeding here. What are the hurdles? What are the wins? How do I analyze this and do a better job as a brand? Or how do my rep do a better job as a rep and as a brand? So it sounds like it's one location, one database for reporting per market or per state, per however you want to break down this reporting system.
Yep, that's exactly right. So as you hit the nail on the head, Mike, as more retailers connect in, whether it's through being invited by their brands or by their reps, retailers are joining as well because they just want to have more information. They want to have these automated sales reports. As retailers join in, it builds up the database. And so as a brand and as a retailer, you can get more granular to be able to say what's happening in San Diego County, what's happening in Southern California, what's happening in the Western United States. Now, the one thing that we have a commitment for to the retailers, though, is that your shop's specific data on across every brand is always protected and remains anonymous.
Yeah.
And so as a brand, if you're wanting to drill in on a region, or as a retailer, if you're wanting to drill in on a region, we have some requirements. There has to be enough retailers that anonymity is enforced. There also has to be enough revenue distribution that one retailer doesn't skew the trends, doesn't skew the data.
Yeah.
And so we're actually looking at it from a very technical perspective of if you're going to drill in on San Diego County, we're going to protect those stores by ensuring that no one retailer in that region can be essentially that their sales, that their P&L can be uncovered and revealed to the industry. And
Yes.
so when you're a brand, if you're a rep, you're only looking at your products at that store. And when you're looking at industry data, you're looking at an anonymized data set that's large enough to be analyzed.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is a big assumption. Um, I've worked with other platforms that don't do what you do, but kind of a similar idea in the sense of you're connecting the brand with the retailer, and those two basically have to connect where the
Mhm.
retailer, for lack of a better term, flips a switch that says you can receive this information, and the brand flips a switch on their end that says you can receive this information. So just those two
Yep.
connect. And like you said, like I can't see what brand B is doing or what they're selling in the store. I can only see my connection. So I can see we'll just use Martha's example. I can see what
Sure.
Martha hats are selling. I can't see what Brixton hats are selling. Um,
Yes.
so so you can see your brand's report at that store and the other store, and you can get a cohesive report in the county or the territory for just your brand only. There's nothing else being shared.
For specific retailers, yes. However, when we talk about market data, so when we roll up and we have that anonymized where retailers' information is not in the data set, you do have the visibility as a brand and a retailer to look at competitive market share.
Gotcha.
So for Martha, you could see what's happening for other hat manufacturers, but you wouldn't be able to see what Brixton's doing at one location.
Yeah.
You would be able to see, okay, we did this marketing campaign. Did we gain market share in the Western United States against our competing brands?
Does it
And
break it down by just brands, or will it break it down by like 5 panels versus truckers?
yes, so it's brand, it's category, it's subcategory, and then different variant information. Is it a 5 panel? Is it a trucker? Is it, all just the different variances there. So you would be able to track and see what is the performance of this product in this region. And again, this is where this is so valuable for a brand. And I can't emphasize this enough from our mission. Our mission is to see specialty retailer grow, be refortified as the backbone of these specialty industries. And it starts by letting, as a retailer, let your brands see you.
Wow.
Know what's happening across this channel. These are the core consumers. These are the core people that are coming to these stores. We frequently call them at TrackFly the alpha consumers, because the consumers that are coming to these local shops, they are the ones that come back month over month, week over week. They're the ones that are buying the new products that are launched. They're the ones that are putting it on social media. that when new consumers come in, they want to look like them and they want to have the same products as them. We need to understand what's happening in specialty retail, and that's what's going to drive growth in these industries in the future.
So I'm going to switch it up a little bit because you got me hooked. I'm fascinated now.
I love it, Mike. Right
And what's
on.
funny is I told your buddy, I said, I don't want this to come off like a commercial. And he's like, no, it won't. And I'm like, but now I'm like, no, tell me more. I need to know more of these analytics. Like I'm totally going exactly against what I wanted. But let's take us two handsome bearded men in all black and talk
Yeah.
about something that you wouldn't picture us talking about. Bikinis. Believe it or not, I worked in women's swimwear for a very long time. Are you
Yes.
telling me that a surf brand that sells swimwear could say, because the markets are all different, hey, just so you know, in Northern California, we're selling more mid coverage bottoms. And in Florida, we're selling cheeky bottoms. And a rep could use that information and say, look, it's not just me. Look at the data that TrackFly is supplying. Cheeky bottoms are selling in Florida. Mid coverage is selling in, NorCal, and full coverage is selling in, I don't know, I'm just making these up, Texas. You could
Yep.
literally look at those analytics, and brands and retailers can use that information to their advantage when making their buys.
Yes. The
Again,
short answer.
again, sign me up. Like, let's do.
So I'm gonna go back to this Walmart example, okay? So if you think about a big chain retailer, they not only have big analyst teams that are looking at data, they have thousands of locations. And that's what they're looking at. They can go and say, let's go look at these stores in this region and what's selling there. In specialty, we don't have the luxury, retailers don't have the luxury of having locations in every single region. But what specialty has is community. And when you bind together the specialty retailers of an industry, it's a way larger presence than any chain retailer. And when you can bind those retailers together, you can get those same types of insights. You can get those same types of regional analysis, but it comes by visualizing and understanding the sell through, the actual performance in specialty. So that's what TrackFly is. TrackFly is a network, is networking together the specialty retailers to bring the same level of insights that a big chain store gets by doing it, by bringing that community together onto one data platform. And it benefits the brands, it benefits the reps, the distributors, it benefits the retailers.
So speaking of insights, are you pulling your insights from more places than TrackFly, or is it more of where everything is in TrackFly, and the more brands and the more retailers that come on, the more shared data there is?
Everything's in TrackFly. So we are about building the community. So right now we're recruiting retailers in surf. We're recruiting retailers in skate. You got some awesome boards behind you right there. We're
Yeah.
recruiting retailers in skate. We're recruiting retailers in the snow sports and outdoors. And retailers are coming in because they want their own data analyzed, but it builds that network. And so we're seeing retailers come on. If you're a brand though, and this is data that you want to get, the reason why that rep connection is so important is because you can invite your retailers. And when you invite your retailers and they accept your connection, it fuels that data set, it fuels those insights. Essentially what we've done, Mike, we've applied social networking to intelligence across the specialty supply chain. It's invites, it's friend requests. Hey, I'm a business. I want to connect with you on here. And as we all connect together, it brings more intelligence to the industry.
Well, what's funny is just taking this another step beyond. No joke. Speaking of skateboarding, I have a sales manager staying at my house. We were up till midnight last night talking about grip tape and
Yeah.
trucks and production ordering and forecasting and all these things. And sometimes you have reps that they'll give you their forecast, and then you have maybe a production manager who's like, okay, I don't know how you got to this math, or let me cut it down, or let me up it. It sounds like if you could even use the TrackFly data, you could also help with your forecasting for production, especially with things that are in line. Like example, black grip tape. All stores need it, but do I order 100 rolls? Do I order 200 rolls? It's like, well, look at right here. This shop sells this many rolls.
Yeah.
Need this much in stock at all times, or for 2024.
We just had this happen today. I won't share the brand that we were meeting with about this, but they were looking at this data set and they were planning their production for next year. And they were looking at it, and there were categories that they weren't even on their, it wasn't even on their horizon, but they saw that consumers were going in there and they said, we need to make a product. we need to make a new launch of this item, whether it's a new color variation or something like that, but consumers are going for that. It totally directs the sales as far as if you're getting into your production forecasting, what should you be working on? What are consumers doing in right now? And bringing that level of intelligence. It's been remarkable. And I want to make sure to say this as well, Mike, like this is not about TrackFly. We're a connective tissue when it
Yeah.
comes down to the supply chain, to the industry. We are here to see the brands and the retailers in this industry get better connected, work closely together, and to see each of their businesses grow. We just love to be that supporting cast member. We built the technology, we've got the tools to be able to do it. It's really about brands and retailers coming together to grow together. And that success, when we hear brands that are launching new product lines, directly correlated, we know that they're spending their dollars more efficiently because they're doing it with data points. When I see retailers make a more targeted buying cycle because they know what they're selling through and they're working with their reps on it, that's success for us. That's what we want to see happen. So it's been incredibly rewarding to do it. And we love to just sit here and have conversations like this with guys like you that just like get so excited about it because these specialty industries just haven't had these tools. They haven't had these tools. And I worked in big retail. I worked with these enterprise retailers and I saw what they had access to. And it's mind blowing. And it was so unfair. It was so eye-opening, and I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Um, it was unavailable to the marketplace.
Yeah.
And that's where TrackFly came from. That's why it started, was the desire to democratize that type of information.
Well, so you bring up a really, oh shoot, you still there?
I'm still here. Yeah.
I just hit a button that I didn't mean to hit. This will be fun. I'm trying to find you. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah.
How do I go back? I hit a button because I take advantage of um the free wait, maybe I'm getting back to you. Maybe I'm getting back to you. There you are. I take advantage of the free 30 minutes and it just hit me the upgrade button. I hit the wrong button.
Oh,
So
nice.
pay now. I'm like, I ain't paying now.
Submit your credit card today.
I was like, no, I'm in the middle of something. I got 9 minutes and 18 seconds left. Uh, so you bring up such a great point though, and I feel bad because I would say this guy is one of my favorite marketers, and I'm totally forgetting his name right now. It's oh, I feel bad. He did storybook marketing. He did all these things. God, he's a great guy. But his whole thing is, which I've really adapted to my life, and just what I do for building the revolution, or like, surf shop day, on all these things that I've done. Surf shop day is no longer mine. I gave it to SEMA, but it's like we are not the hero. Like you mentioned, you're part of the conversation. We're not the hero in the story. I'm just a guide. The
Yeah,
heroes are the independent retailers. The heroes are the backbone of our industry that are fueled by passion. Like you said, when we talk about fly fishing, they're going to get you off on the best foot. They're going to teach you all you need to know. These are the heroes, and we're just guides to hopefully show them a path that will make them even a bigger hero. So I like what you said earlier. This isn't about TrackFly. This is about being part of the conversation and growing the community and putting a spotlight on these people, taking some knowledge that you learned from working at some of these bigger box guys and sharing it with the true heroes of our industry. So
absolutely.
speaking of true heroes, what are some surf shops that you're currently working with?
Yeah, so a couple of surf shops that have come on recently, over on the East Coast, VB is a great one. And uh, Ocean Surf. Sorry, Mark's sitting over here.
What
I
up,
had
Mark?
so I'll go ahead and say that again. Yeah, it's been really exciting to see some of the surf shops start to come in. So like VB Surf Shop, Ocean Surf, over on the East Coast have been two that have come in recently, that to see them come on. And what's exciting about it is when a retailer connects to their point of sale system, they have their automated analytics in about 48 hours. And
Yeah.
so in about 48 hours, they're looking at analyzing those, and then they can start to go and start to invite their reps, and their reps can receive those. So it happens really quickly. A couple of other ones, Surf City, Sick Day, just really cool shops that came through a couple of different introductions. We've spent some time. We were at Surf Expo last year and met some of them. We're also working in collaboration. We're a major supporting vendor for the Board Retailer Association. And through that channel, we've seen a lot of awesome shops come in. You know, George at the BRA with Modern Skate up in Detroit is another great shop that we're working with. So it's been really exciting to see it come in, but we're just getting started. We're really just getting started.
So let me ask you this, and I got 6 minutes. I don't have my readers on. Don't want to show people how old I really am. Um, uh, does it start with the retailer or does it start with the brand? Like, is it the retailers that sign up and invite the brands in, or is it the brands that sign up and invite retailers, or both?
Both. Yes. Retailers don't have to be invited from a brand to get benefit. They can start to get their own store reports and it starts to build into those industry analytics. But we see brands signing up. I mean, again, you know, you talked about Mikey Riley at FreeFly. They're actively inviting their dealers, their retailers to connect on TrackFly as well, and they're coming through. Patagonia actively inviting their retailers. And so if you carry one of those brands, you can either get the invite or you can join. If you're like, I've got FreeFly in my store, I carry Patagonia, hop on TrackFly and you can send an invite to your Patagonia rep. They're there to receive it and they can start to collaborate with you.
And I'm going to throw this out there because now I'm dying to know. And I'm going to be honest, I'm lazy. There's a lot going on the website, and I'm lazy. I don't want to read all that stuff. Is there a cost for retailers? Is there a cost for brands? How do they sign up?
There is no cost for retailers to get signed up. So for retailers, so there's no cost for the retailers to sign up. We you know, this is built for them to be able to grow and to analyze their business. You know, in full transparency, as market data and benchmarking data comes out, there are advanced analytics that if you're a larger or a more advanced shop, you can subscribe to those. But most retailers, especially in the specialty side of things, they get to that free account, those analytics that are in there, and it's a game changer. So no cost for the retailers to get going, and you'll never be pushed from us from a cost. Brands are subscribing. So brands do subscribe for the market data so they can analyze that. And then that connection, when a sales rep connects to your brand or connects to your retailer, the brand does, there is a subscription cost for that brand for that connection, but it's $150 a year. So for one retailer, you spend $150 a year, you do one more order with them, that cost is recovered.
So it's 150 a year per retailer.
Per retailer, yep.
So tell me the negative of TrackFly. Is there one? Because it sounds too good to be true, man. I'm telling you, I'm ready to get off this meeting, call the owner of Marth and be like, we should really do this. This looks pretty freaking sweet.
Well, I mean, we can absolutely do that, and we'll get you all set up, Mike, because this is exciting for us as well. We love talking to brands. You know, the downside simply is I can't think of one. I'm probably biased. I'm probably the wrong person to think of. I mean, if I really were to say it, like this is a new concept, right? This is a new concept. And for some specialty retailers, it can be a little daunting to share data.
Yeah.
You know, you've had your hat on, you've built your business to where it's at today with your own, you know, sweat equity and sharing data. We live in a world when sharing data is kind of a scary look down upon thing. I mean, the big companies are scraping data everywhere. Our mission to the retailers though is yes, we do ask you to provide your sales data. But what we promise to them is that it will remain anonymous and it's fully transparent. Any data that works its way to your reps or works its way to your brands is also visible to you. There is no data that we pull and we sell upstream or sell to other third parties. It's all transparent in how this data is benefiting the industry. So that's the downside. It's a bit daunting to share data, but we're here to make it so that it's visible, that it's transparent, and it's beneficial to you.
Well, dude, I mean, dude, I'm not kidding. Like, I didn't know what to expect when I got on with you, and I'm completely blown away. And I'm like, literally what you're talking about, no joke. I've had conversations with reps at companies I work for and sales managers and other reps at other companies, and not even go too far into it because I can see I have 2 minutes, 24 seconds. The data or just the feedback I'm getting from the market is the reps that show up with knowledge and the reps that show up are the reps that win. Imagine walking into a store with the knowledge that you already have. I'm assuming you can get this information on your phone or pull up the report. go visit the shop, and you walk in, you do your talking, but you're like, hey, I've already analyzed your data. I've already done this. Here's what I think we do. Sounds too
Re
easy.
Retailers want their reps to be consultants,
Right.
not order takers.
Oh
And
my gosh, dude, are we kindred spirits? Do you know how many times I use the term don't be an order taker?
yeah, it's the case. It's the truest form of fashion. And when I mean, I've talked to 1,000 specialty retailers over the last year. When we asked them what their biggest thing they wanted from their vendors was, it was better rep engagement. It was, I want my reps to be consultants. I want my reps to come in and help me understand what to buy, not just come in with a big order and put it on the table that I have. This is my minimum. I've got to fill it,
Yeah,
you
where are
know?
the cameras, dude? Seriously, you have cameras in my office? You listening to me?
Maybe we do. I don't know. Mark's crazy in the marketing side of things. He's listening to everybody.
I say it all the time. Don't be an order taker. Don't just show up and take an order and disappear. All right. Well, dude, I'm super psyched on this meeting.
Me
Uh,
too, Mike.
I got a minute left. I just want to say thanks. Um, since we're talking about it, why don't you shout out the website real quick if anybody wants more info?
Yeah, for any additional information, www.trackfly.com, spelled like it sounds. We don't have any funny spelling, TrackFly. Info@trackfly.com. We'll get our whole team. You'll get a quick response from that. Please reach out. We're eager to talk to anybody that wants to learn more.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that we spoke. I'll catch you
Likewise.
later. Take care.